Hello, my name is Steve Paulsrud. I'm with the League of Women Voters, and I have the privilege of interviewing candidates for the 2025 Muscatine School Board. And with me today is Lindsay Phillips. And the first question I guess I would like to ask you is just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Hello. Thank you for having me. So, as you said, Lindsay Phillips. This is my second term that I'm running for the school board. So, I ran previously just about 4 years ago and put that, I guess, that time in. And so here today, I'm hoping for that same outcome. But I am a mom of two boys. My husband and I have lived in Muscatine our whole lives. Aside from those jobs where you go off and go to school and travel and things like that. So we are raising our two boys here now, one in middle school and one still in elementary, and involved in all of the things. So kind of on the go, busy. My day job is in nonprofit. So I work at the Muscatine Community Y, where I get to help lead a couple programs there and serve the families of Muscatine.
You were telling me earlier before this started you were working with the Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Yes. Yep.
That's wonderful. Yeah,
Yes.
very good. So, how do you see the role of a school board member?
Yeah, so the school board member, there are a couple different roles, but ultimately our job is to read, review, and sometimes create policy. We work under the Iowa School Board, which we're really fortunate to do that and be members of because they provide really a great template of operations for us. And then our district is able to comply and really personalize those to the needs of our students and our teachers here. And so our main job is to oversee that and then to work and support and hire the superintendent if that were to be something that came up. But that would be our direct
Very good.
responsibility.
So, do you have a specific reason or agenda for wanting to become a member of the school board?
Yeah, this is the question. So 4 years ago, I would say, yeah, I probably had a little bit of that agenda, or there was something that drove me to want to become more involved at this level. And that would really be, I would word it as autonomy to teachers when it came to approaching different individual needs in the classrooms. How do we address behaviors? How do we offer opportunities that make every student have the best academic outcomes? And that can look very differently in how we're assisting and doing those things. I think our district has done a really good job addressing that, and we are well on our way. The policies and the procedures are in place. And so we're at a point of just consistent implementation. And there's been a lot of growth there. And I hope that our teachers are feeling empowered. I hope that parents feel connected and have clear expectations on all of those. So I think currently my agenda
Uh,
item, if there is one, is that we continue to build on consistency in our implementation of expectations throughout every building in our district.
okay, very good. Um, I I know this wasn't one of the questions I gave, but what is your opinion about the cell phone issue?
Yeah, that's fair.
And I'll ask everyone else the same
That's
thing.
okay. I like
Yeah.
follow-up questions. That's
Oh,
good.
yeah.
So I think that we even adults need a break from our cell phones, right? We can feel it. We know the effects of it on our mental health, our demeanor, and everything too. And so I think one of the challenges that our kids face right now is that they don't have an escape ever. So if we can shut down that connection to the outside world or to something that's constantly nagging at them and eliminate some distractions, I think we owe it to them to do that. So I'm really proud of our school district. The leadership at the high school, I know that they've taken on a lot with this, and they've really tried to enforce some more cell phone rules. There's an Iowa law now that's come through too to follow. And our district has been a little ahead of the game on that. So that's always nice too when you're ahead of some of those laws that come through. But I think we owe it to our kids and their ability to focus and have that escape from social media or cell phones. Yeah, I'm
Focus on education.
definitely supportive of some cell phone
Very
bans
good.
or laws.
Are there any other things that you would like to change, fix, or refashion with the school district? Um,
This answer could probably change day to day based on what the needs are that are brought to us at the board level. But I think currently I'm looking to support the initiatives that are in place and make sure that, I don't want to change anything and us not have the infrastructure to do it right. And so I think as we continue to learn of needs, then we can have those in-depth conversations to figure out what it is. But otherwise, if I can support the procedures that are being developed right now, that would be ideal.
Very good. So, can you share a time when you worked together on a team or a committee to achieve a common goal?
Yeah, thank you for sending the questions ahead of time too.
Yeah,
I was
that's a
thinking of
tough
this
one.
one.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate to be in positions where I get to kind of wear a lot of hats on teams. So whether it's a chair or the current president of the school board, or whether it's just serving as a committee member where you tell me where I'm needed and I'm there to help. I enjoy that.
Mhm.
So I do tend to put myself in some positions like that. One specific instance where we worked as a team to really just create something, which was new for me. I think I've joined some committees and boards that are well established and been able to jump in and help support that current team. But Live Muscatine, when I sat down here, I had seen it scroll across on Access 9, and I saw that. And that's something that's really near and dear to my heart, that a team of individuals that I got to be part of created this orientation and welcome to Muscatine in hopes of getting people to fall in love with the community and feel like they belong. We just held, I don't, maybe like our ninth one this week at the YMCA, and it was well attended, and we're connecting people to the community. That was a team effort, and I think it's something we should be proud of.
Yeah, that's great that you have restarted or are part of that because I know when I came to Muscatine in 1997, we had something like that, but then it's just kind of faded away, I
Oh, that's good
believe.
to know.
So yeah, so
Okay.
that's really neat.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
learned that sometimes through some committee work and some meetings that we attended and were put on by the Community Foundation, we learned that not everyone feels like they have that extended welcome when they come to our community. And that sat with a few of us, and we were like, we can do something about this. And so it started as a chamber ambassador initiative, and I was fortunate to be part of that team.
Very good. So, what impact have school vouchers had on the public schools in Iowa?
Yeah, this is another hot topic.
Yeah,
Right? So I
yeah,
think when I look across Iowa, I'm not sure that I could tell you what every community's experience
sure.
is. But here in Muscatine, I think it's affected us in ways that we expected because we've had private school opportunities already, and our districts and the private entities have worked really well together. And so families have really been making their choices in Muscatine.
Mhm.
And I think that we've seen that continue. And so, fortunately, it hasn't had a large financial impact on us. Now, that can be looked at and dissected in a lot of ways as we look at state funding and how they make decisions on dollars. But currently, um, I think my approach with it is that every family has individual needs, and I understand wanting a school choice and a parent choice, or a choice for your student, and I can support that. Um,
Yeah.
I hope that public school will be the choice because I think that we have an opportunity to have several offerings for every child, whether it's on IEPs or 504s, or whether it's giving them, advancements in dual enrollment and opportunities that we have in partnership with MCC. And, there's just lots of different avenues and pathways that our public education system can provide. So I hope that's the choice.
Yeah. So what role
It's
I
okay.
missed this question, but because so what role should parents play within their child's school,
Mhm.
classroom, extracurricular?
Yeah.
How do you see it? That? You're a
A
parent,
big
so
one, right? I'm a parent, and I hope that I'm involved and engaged with the school and in an appropriate way and at an appropriate level. Sometimes I have to pull myself back, but I do believe that the parents create our school experiences, and we ask a lot of our teachers, we ask a lot of our school staff. And my hope is that we have enough resources in our community too, that every kid that enters school is school ready. And I don't just mean academically, but I mean able to, sit and contribute to the environment in an appropriate and a fun and a progressive way. And so I think that that 100% starts at home. We have to do that. I hope that communication is something that we continue to look at. We've had some world events that have
Yeah.
changed some of our communication strategies and really the cultures of our building and how education and educators are perceived and the expectations we have on them. And I think we need to get back to really just communicating and believing that every single one of us wants what is best for our kid. And we're all after the same goal. And so, how do we open up those relationships? And I think we'll start to see it naturally just improve.
Well, very good. Would you like to just have a statement before we end?
Sure. Well, I think, of course, November 4th is the day that you can go out and use your voice to vote and fill seats. And I think that we have a large variety of candidates for school board and lots of interest. And so honestly, I'm excited to see the engagement and the interest because I think it means that people are watching and paying attention. And so I just encourage everyone to continue doing that. Thank you for the opportunity to share our thoughts on some of the topics and questions. And
Okay. It was
yeah,
very nice to meet
thank
you. Thanks.
you.
Thank you for being
Yeah,
here.
of course.
All right. I have the privilege today to interview candidates for the Muscatine School Board and for this November 4th election. And with me this morning is, I'm sorry, Lori Anderson from Muscatine. Welcome.
Thank you.
And why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I have been an accountant at Muscatine Power and Water for 23 years. And I've been in about every part of it and worked on that. I've been married for 19 years. On election day, we'll celebrate our anniversary that day. Hopefully we celebrate an election win too. But I've been married for 19 years and I've got 3 kids who've all gone through the Muscatine schools. I've got 6 grandkids that range in various ages. And I've got 1 great grandson and he's about to start school. So,
You were also telling me earlier that you were a substitute teacher.
I was a substitute teacher. I am still licensed as a substitute teacher. I was active in the schools for 3 years. A lot of that was during the end of COVID when we finally went back to school, and many of the teachers were out for like their 10 days, and so I got to fill in for a lot of that and worked with them. And I managed to, in my 3 years, actually work in every building in the district, except the early learning. And those people that work with those little kids like that, they're saints. I substituted in a first grade class, and they're cute at that age, but you don't get a whole lot of learning done some days. Over the years, I've been a Girl Scout leader for many years. I was youth director at church for many years, so I seem to always have been involved with children. And I've got a special place in my heart for them and the people that want to help them. My youngest son has autism, so it was a challenge getting him through school. And my oldest daughter is, the straight A. Her goal when she started high school was to be class valedictorian. So I've been a parent of students on all ends of the spectrum.
Very good.
So, yeah.
Sounds great. So what do you see is the role of a school board member?
Well, I see the role of a school board member as more of a strategic oversight kind of position with setting goals and establishing policies and keeping an eye on the superintendent, making sure he's kind of helping get those goals accomplished with his solid leadership. The establishment of the good finances and keeping that in line, which I think my financial background will be a really big help to that. Then, of course, there's the oversight of the curriculum and setting the calendar. And right now, I'm kind of excited that they're working on a new math curriculum. It's great to see how they're working on that and putting it to a test before we really sign off on it. Because over the years, I've worked on many things, and once you buy it, it doesn't seem to work quite as well as when they were trying to sell it to you. So, and then to work with the community. I see us as kind of the middleman. What is the community saying about us? What can we do to improve the schools and influence that? So,
Very good.
not as much hands-on as I think a lot of people think. I think a lot of people think that they're gonna, the school board actually gets right down in there and has direct interactions with the teachers and some of that stuff, which I suppose is available, but it's not as much as people want to think that it is.
Yeah, yeah. So what is the reason that you decided that you wanted to run for school board?
When the first person asked me that, and I know a lot of people have an agenda, and I don't. The reason I want to run for school board is just because I care. Over the years, being a parent that was in the school district and raising my kids, I was an active parent. And then as a substitute teacher and just as a citizen and knowing people. And a lot of the kids that I met when I was substitute teaching, I found a special place in my heart for that. And so I care. I like to talk to people, and I always, when I hear people talk about, oh, I've got a problem with this and maybe this isn't working, it hits me personally, and I just always want to reach out and help somebody. So if there's something I can do to help people maybe improve things or help them understand it, I would really like to be that person.
So it sounds like you really want to be there for the kids.
I do. The kids, the parents, sometimes it's just a lack of communication with the parents, and maybe the district rules are not necessarily understood. These days there's so many different challenges. All the students seem to have been creating new challenges with the identities and the special needs, and there's just so much happening right now, especially with the mental health issues that's going on. Yeah.
So what role should the parents play in this then?
I personally believe that parents should be as active in their kids' education as they can possibly be. I was that parent that when my son was in elementary school, and I found out he had autism, and I went to learn everything I possibly could, and he had some wonderful teachers. His classroom teacher at the time happened to be Joelle McConaughey, and I'm sure a lot of people know Terry Phillips. She was a wonderful special ed teacher. In order to learn as much as we could in how to deal with autism, we all went to a conference in Chicago that was given by, at that time, the most prominent autism specialist in the world. And so, yeah, that was one of the things. And then when we came back, every time my son changed buildings, I insisted on a training to train people how to deal with this. There were so many kids at that time that had these certain autistic traits. They were on the spectrum, but they weren't always getting diagnosed. Parents would say, oh, this is something else. And so it was kind of a different way of dealing with things. And so I believe they should be active. Now, even if you're one of those households that mom and dad have to work because they have to make ends meet, and I know we have some of those. I know when I was growing up, my parents were always trying to do that and make ends meet and put food on the table, and that's a lot of work. I think that even those parents need to be active with their kids. Maybe they need to be the parent that just takes just a few moments to sit down and read a story with their child. That's still very important in that child's education. And I found over the years, too, in my substitute teaching, that if all parents do is make sure their child feels safe and loved, that right there makes a big difference in their education.
So it sounds like you had a pretty good experience with the school board or with the school system getting help for your child and supporting.
Well, not always. We had to push a lot. My son was a challenge all the way through, and occasionally I had to say, hey, I'm going to climb. I had a school principal that said, well, we can't do this and we can't do that, and so the next thing I did was I'm calling the school board, and sure here we had people a little higher up come in, sit down. We found a solution. We did find answers, but at that point I had to push a little harder to find some of those. I don't think every parent should have to do that. I think we should be, the school district, I felt, should have been a little more proactive in saying, hey, let's find a solution. And we worked as part of a team, and along the line I met some absolutely wonderful educators and school board members. But yeah, sometimes it was a struggle. But we got through it. My son did graduate with the help of some wonderful teachers at the high school, but it was a push all the way.
Very good. Well, I can certainly see you're caring for your child, and then also wanting to facilitate that for other kids who come to the board. So, can you share a time when you worked together on a team or a committee to achieve a common goal?
Well, I work together with an excellent team every day. My accounting department at Muscatine Power and Water is 9 people that work pretty seamlessly together. And one person's going to be out that day, another person will step in, take over their responsibilities. Oh, this one's sick today, I can handle that. We work really good as a team. But my biggest accomplishment was we spent 3 years with implementing a new software, and it was a big project. As anybody that works in the business environment can tell you, when you're changing out software that you've had for 30 years, it's a big challenge to say, oh, let's get something new.
Sure.
So I was part of the team. I was selected to represent the department and evaluate the old data we had, look at the new system, how do we want to use it, talk to people, work with the department, work with software developers, get it set up so that it was the best thing we could do at the time, work through the bugs. We had some instances where we had to write interfaces so our software could talk to other department software. It got to the point where I, as an accountant, was pretty close to being a computer programmer there for a while, because it was so much work. I'm working with that. And then when we did get done, I wrote the policies and the procedures, or helped write those for people to use the software. At this point, we're getting ready to look at a new one, and I'm now the subject matter expert on this software.
So it sounds like you were maybe a team leader or co-team leader of the
part of that
committee or something?
Yep. It was a team of different people from different departments, because a software works with IT, it works with the accounting department, and because it can interact with others, like our purchasing departments. It takes a lot of people to actually say, here it is, and you got to consider how other people use it too, not just your own, what you see around you. So
Again.
it was 3
Yeah,
long years.
I've been involved in that in my past, and getting a new software system is incredibly complex.
You don't think one of these days it would become easier, because we've been into technology for so long that it's got to get easier, but of course, people don't like change, and so part of it is just getting past that negativity that's associated with change, and got to keep an open mind.
So what impact have school vouchers had on the public schools in Iowa?
Well, impact on the schools as part of the state, they take the revenue away from the public schools. And I think when they were instituted, the idea was to give maybe the less fortunate students the option of going to what people perceive to be a better school. So they can go to private school. So here's a voucher, you can go wherever you want in schools, which I think is a bigger thing in the bigger cities like Des Moines or maybe the Quad Cities or some of that than it is here in town. But I think it's had a different effect. From research, I had to research this one a little bit. I read that a lot of those waivers, the private schools have just raised their tuition. So the money from the waivers has just enabled those private schools to be bigger and better, and it just enforces the private school. I talked to a few people locally that send their kids to St. Mary's, St. Matthias to ask this question: how does it affect locally? And yeah, they get the voucher, they raise the tuition, and because they've got these vouchers now and the tuition, their teachers got raises, which for the community, that's not always a bad thing because they're still community members. But if it's, I still haven't figured out why locally, what one school is different than the other. I personally don't. I've heard different ones that send their kids. I always want to know why. Why do you think you have to send your kid to this school versus the public school? And locally, I don't see the difference. I've heard some of the perceptions that there's more violence in the public schools, and some of the rumors that float throughout the city. I don't think they're true. Being in the schools, I don't think that some of the perceptions that are out there as to our public schools are true. But it gets passed and people believe it, so then it's like, oh, I got to get my kid in here because they don't have that problem there. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I know, and just listening to the national news, people think that, their kids are being indoctrinated in the public schools.
No. Yeah. Well, in some of them, I don't know if it's true, some places, but I graduated from Muscatine. My kids were all here. I'm a Muskie at heart, and I always will be. And I personally think we do a pretty good job of educating our students here. If they, to the best of our abilities. Some days it's not as easy as other days, but they get a well-rounded education and plenty of opportunities. So not to say that we can't improve on that.
So I don't want to put words in your mouth. So do you feel like they should be continued or phased out, or
vouchers?
Yes.
I think they should be phased out.
Okay.
I really don't see the purpose that maybe they were established for is working. Okay. So if the idea was to give people the choice, I think it's kind of been counter-effective.
Well, very good. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Steve Paulsrud, and I'm here with the League of Women Voters, having the privilege of interviewing candidates for the Muscatine School Board in the election in November. And with me today is Matt Miller. And why don't you just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, Matt?
Sure. Matt Miller, a resident of Muscatine for almost my full 47 years here. Have started a few things up in the community with some veterans networks, just really been around for quite some time. Fortune 500 company for 22 years. Now I work over at Lee Agency and just I sell some insurance and get to meet some new people in the community and surrounding areas.
So what is the role of a school board member?
Rule of a school board member. I think this opens a lot of areas where we have to, we only have so much time to speak to it. Obviously, we need to uphold policies. We need to make sure that some things are in place, that we're also holding true to what those rules and laws are that are changing throughout the districts and understanding that as well. But I think there's bullets underneath each one of these policies that we need to do, and even the procedures that we really need to be looking at and just making sure if they're still in place. I heard one school board member say, you know, the budgetary numbers, how we budget, is off of values. It should be based off of our values, and that's what it should lean towards. And I'm not saying that's not a true statement, but I would ask kind of what those values are in our school board today and challenge if those values are where we should be sending and budgeting money. So I think that's one of those bullets underneath the policies and procedures. So we need to look at budget. We need to see where money's going, how it's getting utilized, and are we investing it in the correct areas that we need to invest it in. I think the hiring evaluation, you know, obviously superintendent does report to school board. I think it's important to have some good KPIs out there and make sure we're holding true to some metrics that are there. I think graduation rate could be one of those metrics, and we just need to see how that's working out and where we really fall into.
KPIs, I'm sorry.
Key performance improvements. Yep.
Thank you.
So it's just those are places where we know certain hit points have to happen. And sorry, that's my corporate America that came out there, you know, and those acronyms can get us in trouble when you don't understand them. So that's my bad.
Just want to make sure people, yeah.
Yeah, yep. And it's really key performance indicators, like what is happening at this point where we need to have touch points and just make sure we're hitting the criteria that we should. Facilities management, obviously that is a large thing. I think that our schools are looking great on the outside. I think there's some things with safety we probably need to look into along that. You know, and as school board members, we need to take all these into play. It needs to become about budget. It needs to become about retention, staff, teachers. Are we giving them the right tools, you know, curriculum that's set up in front of them for them to do the best they can to truly just provide productive members of society. That's what their goal should be as a daily basis. Sure. And then I think it really does come down to kind of ethical leadership. And I think that's an area that we need to look at our values currently and make sure that we are being true to what we're supposed to as a school board and make sure that these numbers and where we are is where we should be.
Anything in particular regards to safety that you've heard or researched?
You know, I mean, I think there's some concerns.
Just generally.
Sure. Well, I think we're in an ugly world, for better words, right? We really are. Are our students safe in the schools? I feel like we have things in place that, yes, they can be safe. I feel like we have struggles, too, with, you know, open doors on campuses. You know, what do we need to do there? Because we can't just have any kid come in from another school and enter a classroom and sit with her friend or want to do things like that are just not acceptable situations we should be even able to get into our schools. But that's an incident that can happen, and it's happened within the last, you know, just this school year where a student can come in, go sit in the class with a friend, and they not even belong to this school or this district or county. So we have to put some things in place if it's something that simple that can happen. We just need to make sure that our staff and students feel safe in the schools.
Yeah. And what's the reason that you're running for school board?
Yeah, so, geez, like I said, 47 years, you know, I've been in the community. I think Muscatine's an amazing community, and I think that it's fair to give back to this community. I think we have some retention issues. I think there's some things that as a school board we can work with local leaders, other, you know, councils and see what's going on in the community and look at how we retain some of our staff. How do we keep them in the community though? Not so much how do we retain them in the job, but how do we retain that family in our community? You know, if we can get the students and we can get the teachers and we can get the staff coming and staying in the community, we grow our community as a whole. But it does, I think, start in our school districts. When we think of how many kids can go to school and how many parents come with those kids, that's just, we need to be able to accommodate that so that it can happen here. So I think that's one area. I do think that we have, I guess what I would say is people on the bus and they're right for the bus, but maybe they're not in the right seat right now. I think there's some maybe administration situations we need to look at, and that's not a dig at the superintendent, that's just overall administration. And do we have the right people in those positions to be making the decisions they should? Do we have proper procedures even in place for certain criteria that we're looking for? How do we outreach to parents to get them to better come into and help us out as a school district? How do we get that involvement? It's a tough thing, and seems like we'll get to where we just have a handful that just keep coming in and wanting to help and grow. So making it a little more accessible and inviting to talk to the school board. But I think it also, my other reason is I want to just ensure that we are setting our children up for the future to be productive members of society. We don't need to do anything more than that as a teacher. We can offer them the knowledge and skills and do what they need to. We're putting teachers in positions where they shouldn't have kids hitting on them or just screaming and yelling, and we need to get some control of the students as well to where the respect for the teachers is there. I think that's an area that needs to be focused on, and that just means that we as school board members need to be present. We can't do just meetings and meetings. I think we need to be in the schools. We need to be able to walk through, see what's happening, and address the things that the staff are needing.
So making sure the teachers are safe, making sure that we keep people in the community. You mean like teachers or students who have gone through the Muscatine school system?
Well, I think
just
no,
general?
community as a whole, when I say we need to grow our community, those kids that are coming to school here, we want them to live here too. We want their families to live here. The parents who are teachers maybe coming here and then commuting back to the cities or somewhere else, what is driving them to not want to stay in Muscatine? And we need to work with local leaders, and we can come through that as a school board and working together as a community. Now we do the retention thing, the teachers have a place, so now we're not spending money driving and spending it even outside of our community. We're able to really make the community
Saying, hey, we have
one here
we
we
have
are.
employment here, we have opportunities
Right.
for you.
We have housing that you want to live in. We have things for you. We have these places, and that's where I think we as a school board can step up and help the community as a whole.
You spoke about parents being involved. What role should parents play within their child's school, education, or classroom?
Yeah. Yeah, I think parents are the key foundation. That's where it starts, right? It has to start at home. That doesn't mean that everything from home echoes over into the schoolyard or anything like that, but it definitely gives us our firm foundation of where we start is at home. I think parents do need to utilize some of the tools we have out there maybe better. There's Power School, there's Parent Square. These are some devices you can get on your phone that keep you up to date with what's going on with your student. And being involved in that way, it's a thing that the program has put out there, and I think the district's put it out there, and it's a very good tool to use, if used, right? Does everybody know where this is at, and are they using it correctly? I don't know. Maybe we need to do some of that, offer some of that training and stuff, but parents do need to take that initiative into it. I also think that parents need to put accountability where it should be put, and that's not a knock on them. I do think there's times in the education system that they should be able to reach out and get some feedback and have proper turnaround and communication from individual schools, whatever, principals, however that may look. But it needs to be a parent also starting that conversation and reaching out to them.
Very good. Can you share a time when you worked together on a team or a committee to achieve a common goal and what your role was in that?
Sure. Well, I told you I worked for Fortune 500 for
HNI?
22 years.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, that was great. It was talking about teams and working on teams and having to go after the same goals. When you're with a corporation that long, you start understanding the growth needs and what you're going after and how you're going to get to some of your profit sharing. How do you get, member retention, right? And what are some ways we go through those? So I can go back and think through many of teams during that role or that time in life that had to go through and meet expectations that maybe even seemed a little exaggerated, right? I also think of it even just on a day-to-day basis. I told you I sell insurance. Well, I'm constantly working with board members of businesses to go over what it looks like and how do we mitigate risk and what are those things that make sense for you, and having that collaboration and just back and forth open conversation, which I think is important for this type of role. So no, I think being on teams and going through that stuff is something I can.
So when
bring
you
to the
worked
table.
at HNI, did you kind of like work your way up the totem pole, or were you in management at the beginning?
Nope, I started as a fork truck driver as a temp.
Okay.
You said you were here in '97. I started there in '99.
Okay.
So, and then I just kind of worked my way through other jobs and got up and ended up managing one of our machine build shops. So, gave me some room, let me learn things about people, let me really just kind of get to the point of how do we adjust and how do we communicate back and forth. Even though we may not have the same process to get there, we may have the same outcome. And we just need to figure out how we do that collectively.
Very good. So what impact have school vouchers had on the public schools in Iowa?
Yeah.
And what is your opinion about?
Yeah.
continuing them or phasing them out or anything in the future with them?
Well, I mean, I think this is one of those where I'm just school vouchers. I think can be a reflection of maybe lack of change in our school district. When we start seeing things, and I have nothing against private schools, I think the charter schools, whatever they're doing, I think that is fair. I don't see a problem with those at all. I see it becoming an issue for our public schools when we haven't maybe done the steps we needed to not make that such an ease of a movement. Our public schools, I think, can be better. I don't think that we need to lower grade point average, our credits that we need to have to graduate. I don't think we need to lower those to just say, well, we're becoming average. If we lower those, let's be above average, right? So I think vouchers, they can bring in a negative cost on funding, right? So we really have to look at our budget and make sure what we're doing and spending makes the most sense, because we know we can lose students to these schools, right? These vouchers will help with that. I still push back on the fact that I think we've been a little passive as a school board, and it's time for us to really just accept accountability for where we've sat. And maybe it's time for some value change to make sure that we're making the best possible education we can in a public school, and giving every one of our students, all of them, no matter what they have going on, if it's a IEP, a 504, if they're just a gen ed student, it doesn't matter. Let's give them the ability and best opportunity they can to survive and be successful. But until we make those changes, I think that vouchers will be what they are, and whether it's a adverse effect or not, that will be something that will show in time, I feel like.
Yeah.
If that's fair.
Very good. Any final thoughts for the folks here?
No, I mean, I do think it's important, one of the questions I think he asked was, what was my reason, and I think one of those parts of that is, is there an agenda behind it, right? And that's even, I think, how the question was worded. What's your reason or agenda for running? And I think that it's just very important to stress that I'm not doing this for a political stance. This isn't any political gain. It's obviously no monetary gain. This isn't a paid role. And anybody, I think, who goes into this with any political stance on it or agenda, we're setting up for failure to be open-minded in our school board. So I don't have that going
It didn't
on.
seem like you had an agenda from what you were saying. That's
No.
why I didn't really ask.
And that's fair.
Agenda, yeah.
I would hope not, because I read an article the other day from one of the current board members, and it talks about how this is a nonpartisan role. But we all know that it's a nonpartisan role. So if we have to go out and we have to put that out there and say it's a nonpartisan role, and that, we don't want this ideological stuff, like, I just get concerned that is our right people running for the right reasons? And if we go into it with an agenda, we go into it with any political stance, we're not going to be the right member for this role. So that is where I guess I kind of would end my.
And you talked about values and, what is the value, to the taxpayer?
Well, and what values are we putting in place for our staff to follow? What are our procedures and stuff? Not just values as a member, like what are the values? What are we saying our core values are for the Muscatine School District? And are they aligned with what we should be? So,
yeah, I appreciate your opinions and thoughts, and keep people here.
Thanks, appreciate your time.
Yeah,
have
you
a
too.
great day. All right,
thank you.
you bet.
Hello, my name is Steve Paulsrud, and I'm with the League of Women Voters. I have the privilege today to be interviewing the candidates for November election for the Muscatine School Board. And with me today is Mason Koff. Welcome.
Thank you.
So why don't you go ahead and just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, my name's Mason Koff. I was born and raised here. I currently work at United Way as the program manager, and so that's just a quick little blurb about me.
Okay. And so what is the role of a school board member?
So school board, they oversee the schools and their operations kind of within oversight, especially when it comes down to the budgets, curriculum, stuff like that. with the main goal to keep student success in mind. And so I that's the best way I can explain it.
Okay.
Um, just keep the schools where they need to be.
Okay. And so, what is the specific reason that you're running for school board, or do you have an agenda that you're bringing to the folks here?
Yeah, so kind of what led to it is I I went to school here, kindergarten through 12th grade,
Okay.
and I graduated from MHS. So back in 2018, I was fortunate enough to attend a program known as East Campus. Within this program, it's alternative education. So the biggest focus is to adapt education to match the students' needs. And so that program eventually closed within my junior year. And so uh, the teachers knew that by pushing me to my limits, then I will succeed. And so I feel very confident that without having the teachers there to help me and support me, I would not be where I'm at today. And I feel very, very confident on that. And so the purpose of me running is to promote just student success with programs and curriculums because education is not one size fits all. And I think it's important to kind of remember that everybody has different needs. And so just within that, we want to ensure that there's communication, collaboration within the district, as well as ensuring students are prepared for their futures after graduation. So hopefully promoting um, success in the community overall, kind of starting at the schools where it means the most.
Uh-huh. Are there any other things that you would want to repair, fix, or begin again?
I think the schools actually they're pretty strong right now. The board has done an amazing job. The only thing that I think I would want to change or fix um, is just communication. And I'm a strong believer that communication can always be improved no matter
Sure.
what. And so just communicating with the community on what the school's doing, how the community can get involved versus how the schools can get involved, just
Mhm.
keeping that clear line of communication even more clear than it pretty much is now. So.
Are you familiar with anything that the school board or the school system is doing currently that is similar to what the East program was providing?
Yeah. So the schools currently have MCAP, and in MCAP is kind of set in the same format uh, where it's helping bridge those kids in their education. Um, like I said, it's not one size fits all. So some
Mhm.
students do need to be in a smaller setting. They need to be more one-on-one. And unfortunately, not every student qualifies for a 504 or IEP.
Oh,
And so this will help those kids still succeed, even though they aren't able to access those accommodations.
yeah.
And so, like myself, I didn't have any of that. I genuinely was not interested in school. And so, like I had mentioned, the teachers they drove my spirit. Um, and
Mhm.
truly formed who I am today to love education and be
Sure,
passionate about it. And so, without them, uh, I was I'm a first generation college graduate,
sure.
currently pursuing my master's degree, and so that's why I'm very passionate about being able to access all those programs and opportunities and tools to ensure students succeed and don't fall behind.
Oh,
So.
very good. So, what role should parents play within their child's curriculum, classroom, programming, education?
Um, I think the biggest thing that I could recommend to parents or hope for is that they just get involved. Um, they ask questions to understand, um, because volunteering in the classrooms or even within activities gets the parents in there. They're seeing in real time what exactly is going on within their students' education, because it is important to have a say in what your kids are doing. But then also, just that connection builds within the parent and the student. And I think that when there's that one-on-one connection with each other, the student will grow more.
Mhm.
They feel more confident, they feel more connected. And so within that, just connection's important. Reading with your kids at home or helping them with homework, just taking that extra 5-10 minutes is going to make a huge difference in children's lives.
Yeah.
So,
So how would you operationalize that so we can get more parents involved in their children's education?
so yeah, I think just you can always just kind of talk to the teacher and see how to benefit the teacher directly. There's programs out there. Actually, at our United Way office, we offer reading and math mentor program, which is where we get a volunteer into the schools for 30 minutes during reading block time, and that puts the said person into the classroom to help improve like just overall reading proficiencies. And so the possibilities are out there.
Yeah.
You just have to
Yeah.
ask
Yeah.
around, So you
Yeah.
just have to ask.
That's a great resource.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So can you share a time for us where you worked together as a team to accomplish a particular goal? And what was your role with that team?
So the last project I did would have been for um, our office at United Way, of course, because we're so involved. We did Day of Caring, and so that's not a single man job. Um, so I had a committee of about 8 people. Some were staff members, board members, community volunteers, stuff like that. In this group, they get together and they help me, especially, with sponsorships and all of the day of logistics. Um, Coordinating everything. And so we all have the same mission in mind. And I think that's really important working with a team. And so our end goal is to help the local community. And so we had our team essentially coordinated about 229 volunteers across 30 projects across the city of Muscatine. And it was a very successful event. And so it was my first event hosting,
Oh,
doing something like that. And so it really opened more eyes and doors to teamwork. And so it's important to have the same mission in mind when working together.
yeah, that's a lot of folks to
Yeah.
uh, well, great,
Yeah.
great to mobilize that effort.
hmm
Very good. Um, so, what impact have school vouchers had on public schools in Iowa?
So I think when we look at it kind of a little bit closer to just Muscatine itself, I did get the opportunity to talk to some administrators, and there's not really a direct effect in Muscatine right now, just because the private school enrollments are about average, about the same as what they've been the past few years. Um, but overall, it's important to definitely keep in mind and think about, because if students are going to go to private schools, of course, those dollars are going to follow them within those vouchers, and that's kind of the whole purpose of it. And I do think it's important for parents to think about what's going to be best for their kids and their needs. Um, just the school vouchers. The problem that it could face within schools all across Iowa, of course, is going to be a decrease in funding straight to the public schools, which could affect your programs and things like that, that especially within Muscatine, that are there to support the local kids directly. And so just being up to date on that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think the best way to create a solution to that per se, is just to keep the enrollments, keep students in Muscatine schools. And so if we have clear communication, collaboration with parents, teachers, community, it builds that trust. And so within that trust, parents, of course, are going to want to keep their their students in our schools um, instead of choosing a private school. And then hopefully it brings in students to re-enroll back into the schools and help us increase enrollment. So if we can ensure our schools stay strong, then I don't think the voucher system would be something that we would have to worry about,
So it
hopefully.
sounds like the administrators aren't really or haven't been worried about a loss of students outside the district to private schools, say in Davenport or up to Louisa Muscatine. I guess that's still in our same school system though. L&M
Um,
or no?
no.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't want to speak on behalf of anyone, but that's just kind of by my understanding
Yeah.
is that it's not directly affecting Muscatine
Yeah.
schools right now.
Right.
But
Good to hear.
it's definitely something to be aware of.
So do you support continuation of the vouchers or a phase out or any opinion of?
I don't really have an opinion of it.
Okay.
I think if it came down to it, the dollars definitely should follow the students to ensure they're successful at any cost. But uh, since it is kind of public funds that are going to the vouchers, we want to know why and what they're being used for. And so within public schools, there's a lot of rules and regulations that they have to report what they're doing versus private schools, they're not as obligated to release as much information that those funds are being used for. And so at the end of the day, you want to know what your money's going to. So.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you have any final comments for the electorate out there?
Um, at the end of the day, it's super important to just vote. November 4th, uh, check where to vote if you're a registered voter. That's my biggest advice is make sure you voice your opinion. So
Very good.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks. Great to talk to you. Nice to meet you, Mason.
Nice meeting you.
All right. Hello, my name is Steve Paulsrud. I'm with the League of Women Voters, and I have the privilege of interviewing the school board candidates for the November election for the Muscatine School District. And with me today is Carrie Dalby.
Thank you. Yeah.
And why don't you just go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself, the candidate.
Yeah. So thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. So a little bit about me. I am a Muscatine native. I've got children that have gone through the school district. I've spent a lot of time as an educator advocating for students. So a little bit about my qualifications. I started as an educator way back whenever statewide voluntary preschool was first rolling out in the state of Iowa. Um, and then did that for a number of years, transitioned into becoming a foster home through the state of Iowa, doing that work. I was a court appointed special advocate and then also was an instructor for the PS MAP courses. Went back into the classroom just across the street over at Colorado Elementary School whenever it was still an elementary school. And I taught fourth and fifth grade there. Um, my next transition was to become a teaching and learning coach for the school district. And I served in that role at Madison, McKinley, and then most recently at Muscatine High School. Loved, every one of those buildings and really getting to know the community and building relationships within each of those communities. Currently, I serve as the coordinator for disability services, tutoring, and testing at Muscatine Community College. So that's a little bit about me and kind of how I got here. So, yeah.
Excellent. And so what is the role of a school board member?
Yeah, so I think from my perspective, the role of a school board member is a really unique opportunity to kind of wear two hats. We know that, our school districts can be inundated with data points that we need to use to drive decision making. But I think the unique role of a board member is to really take a look at the needs of the community as a whole, and identify, where do we have needs, to work with our partners in the community, whether it's an industry, whether it's nonprofits, whether it's families, and other stakeholders, to really kind of bridge the gap. So that's one of the fundamental things that I feel really should shape the work of a school board member. Obviously, we've got the standard business, that's a little bit more just the governance piece of behind the scenes of a school district, ensuring that we've got policies in place to make sure that we're in compliance with state and federal regulations, making sure that, our funding sources are whole and viable, and then really providing some collaborative oversight along with the superintendent. So
Oh, very good. And so, what is the reason that you decided to take this step to become a school board member?
yeah. I'm really passionate about advocating for every child, whatever that looks like, and ensuring that all learners have access to an equitable education, is really paramount to, all of the work that I've done throughout my life. Um, why now? I feel like now more than ever, in the world of education, we really need to ensure that we have teachers that are, a part of the decision making process, that we've got educators that have a seat at the table. And so, I think, just by way of how my career has sort of shifted and evolved, I'm in a really unique position to sort of offer my perspective, my expertise just through, the education that I've received, the training, the professional development that the district invested in me. I really feel a strong sense of obligation to give back to my community, and advocate for our students and our families. So.
Any particular agendas that you had? You said something about teachers, but
Yeah.
everything else also.
Yeah.
But I don't want to put words into your mouth, but in this day and age, you hear about teachers and nurses being accosted by, people in the ERs or in hospitals for nurses and for teachers, dealing with difficult um,
Yeah.
anything, even policy
Yeah.
issues that come from above down onto them.
You're so right. I think, this is a very difficult time to be an educator. And that's one thing that I consistently hear from educators, is that they kind of feel like they're getting directives that are conflicting from multiple sources, not even within our community, but just at the world at large. And so it's a very difficult time to try and navigate that. So, thinking about my agenda, one thing that I want to do is I want to champion, what our students need, but I also want to be a voice at the table for what our teachers, what our staff are, what their needs are as well. And so I think we have, like I mentioned earlier, we've got all of these data points that we can use to help us determine next steps. And I feel like sometimes we have great plans in place and we have great goals. But then whenever it gets down to the nitty gritty, are we ensuring that our teachers have access to the highest quality professional development? Are we providing that development that is differentiated, that's in the right time, kind of like we would do for our students in the classroom? Are we holding that sacred for them so that, we're providing the opportunity for them to really help us cross the finish line with students and meet those district goals?
Any other things that you would retool, fix, or begin besides what you've already talked about?
Yeah, I think that we also, as a board, have a really unique opportunity to sort of broadcast the things that, that our district is doing at a really high level. And so whenever I think about, how messages are communicated currently by our district, we've got an amazing, amazing social media footprint. And I think utilizing that to create a board dashboard of sorts, where we really clearly lay out these are our district goals. This is our action plan. These are the formative assessment pieces that we're using along the way to sort of tell us, are we headed in the right direction or do we kind of need to tweak our plan? I think using social media to share that information with our families and our stakeholders is something that we can do that would really have a strong impact in making all parties feel included in, what's happening day to day in our classrooms.
Very good. And so, what role do parents have in their child's education, school, classroom experience?
Yeah, it's been my experience, as an educator, that parents really should be allowed to be the loudest, the first champion for their children. Um, Parents always need a seat at the table. Anytime we're making decisions about their child as an individual, whether it's children in their school or our community as a whole, I think giving them access to information is really a non negotiable. We need to ensure that we're bridging that gap at all levels. And we, as I mentioned, we've got a great social media footprint. And I think we do a really great job of highlighting our extracurriculars and, things like that. I would love to see that expand and really provide opportunities for parents to have that educational piece of behind the scenes, the nuts and bolts. And then I think just even breaking it down in plain speak. I know education sort of has a bad rap of being filled with jargon and, acronyms and things like that. And that's a very real obstacle for a lot of individuals that don't have that day-to-day perspective. So I think, really taking the opportunity to educate all stakeholders that would be another fantastic thing that we could offer.
Yeah, that seems to be an important thing, especially when the public hears on social media or on the news that the public school system is indoctrinating their children.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
the only way a parent can figure that out
yeah,
is to have that transparency that you're talking about.
exactly. Yeah,
So
yeah,
wonderful. So, can you share a time when you worked as a team to accomplish a particular goal, and what was your
yeah,
role in
yeah,
particular?
yeah, of course. Lots of opportunities, to kind of catalog and sift through.
Uh-huh.
Um, One that kind of sticks out for me was my first year as a teaching and learning coach at the high school. District wide, we were going to be looking at piloting different ELA curriculums and, ultimately making a decision and moving forward.
ELA. So,
English language arts.
okay.
Thank you for
Yeah.
catching me on
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. So, taking the opportunity to really look at, different curriculums and what's going to be the best fit for our students. So on this particular day, we had a dedicated district day to really do that work. So I'm sitting in a classroom, as the teaching and learning coach that supports the English language arts department. And, we've got teachers 9, 12, administrators from the building and from the district level. And we were really kind of that the teachers were really kind of at an impasse, on which direction that they wanted to go. Um, and so, I remember sitting in that meeting and everyone was so passionate about their beliefs and, what they felt needed to be prioritized. And so my role as a coach is never, to drive the bus for them, but to
Right.
present questions to sort of get them, maybe digging a little bit deeper and thinking about things from a different perspective. And so I remember, just asking that, like, just pause the conversation. Let's center our thinking around these couple of reflection pieces. Let's everybody take 5 minutes. Do what you need to kind of allow yourself some time to reflect on these pieces. And let's come back, ready to make a decision. So we all took our 5-minute break. And everybody kind of did what worked for them. Some of them, needed to meet with a partner and kind of have someone to help them as a thinking partner. Other educators were like, nope, like I just need to sit here, and kind of think through this on my own. And so ultimately, we came back. We were able to make a decision. Everybody, had sort of thought through things, used the data and what they knew about the students and their expertise and their content knowledge. And so, whenever I think about that, sometimes it's helpful. I find in different committees and teams to allow people or to remind people, let's give ourselves grace, and let's allow ourselves to kind of take a moment to pause and recenter ourselves when we need to. And sometimes I think that can be a really big shift.
So your role then was as a facilitator in this process, it sounds
Yeah,
like?
yeah, you
Okay,
could say that.
very good,
Yeah.
very good. So what impact have school vouchers had on the Iowa school system?
Yeah, I think we've seen that school vouchers have certainly pulled families and funds from our public schools. Um, that's something that's really hard for me to watch, as someone who is dedicated to providing fair access to education for all kids. Um, and so whenever I think about what do school vouchers mean, I don't think that we need to look at it as it's parent choice or it's not. I think it really comes down to the fact that public dollars should remain in public schools. I think it's really just, it's as simple as that. We're not in a position where we can cut our way to the top with spending. At least it's my perspective. Is that public education is an investment. And a part of what I want to do is be a very mindful steward of the funds that we have, and treat them as though I'm borrowing from the children, because ultimately, that money is earmarked for their future. And so that's something that I take very seriously. Um, Thank you for asking the
So do you
question, though.
think they
That's a tough
should
one.
be continued,
Yeah.
modified,
Yeah. I
canceled?
Yeah, so I think we really need to take a look at rolling back vouchers. I don't see how we continue to build communities in Iowa that are strong and competitive by cutting education funds for our public education. I don't see how we get to the top again doing that. So
Yeah.
that's a tough question, though.
The numbers are quite a lot that have been taken away from the public
Yes,
schools.
yeah.
So, any final comments that you would like to share with the electorate out there?
Yeah, I would be honored to have your vote as someone who would be willing to sit at the table and fight for every child. I think fairness for all kids in education is it's a non-negotiable. I think every child needs a champion, and I think I have the track record to prove that that's something that I have been doing, and I would love to continue doing. And hopefully that means that I get a seat. At the table for our Muscatine School Board. So thank you so much for
Well,
having
very
me.
good. It was a pleasure to meet
Yeah,
you.
you as well.
Hello, my name is Steve Paulsrud, and I'm with the League of Women Voters, and I have the privilege of interviewing the candidates for the Muscatine School Board in November. And I'd like to welcome Carrie Dugan,
Jennifer Dugan.
Jennifer Dugan. Why we get that off? So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, Steve, I'm Jennifer Dugan.
Jennifer.
So, yes,
Got the last name.
yes, sir. And so a little bit about me. Wow, let's see here. I'm a lab technician, and I've been doing that for over 20 years now. Uh, and I'm also a real estate agent, and I've been doing that for 16 years. So a lot of policies and procedures in the laboratory, as you probably know. So, like with that, that's a really strong suit that I have coming in, reading policies and procedures. And then also with the real estate, I have continuing education as well, but I have continuing education as well with the laboratory department. So with that education, I do 8 hours of law and I do 4 hours of ethics every 3 years. I have to have that for
Okay.
CEUs. Then I also do mandatory reporting. So that's a great asset to have coming in, you know, to help out with the community and the school board and things like that. Knowledge of policies and procedures and how to read those and go forth with those. So see here, what else with me? That's pretty much about it for right
Okay.
now. I mean, there's
Okay.
more stuff,
All
but
right. Very good.
we'll keep it a little short. I could talk all day.
Yeah.
So,
So, what is the role of a school board member?
so the role of a school board member is to oversee the superintendent and our district. So what we're looking at here, policies and procedures. So that's a key thing coming down, and making sure we're following what the state has put down for their legislatures and policies and stuff like that. Also, financial budget. So that's another big thing where that plays a great big role in our schools is budget. So of course it's on everybody's mind. You know, our wherever our money, where our hard-earned money is going. So budget definitely for sure. And then policies and procedures. So making sure everything's being followed correctly. So basically, it's oversight of the schools and making sure everything's functioning and working in a fluid fluidity with our community and everything. So.
Very good. So, big step. What is the reason that you decided to run for school board?
Well, you know, it's a great thing to get out there and and do that. So I have the capability, like I said, with all my knowledge of doing the policies and procedures, and you know that just comes natural to me. So I'm excited to get in there and you know help do stuff with that. And then I think too, with me having kids that were in the school, my oldest one's a senior this year.
Okay.
So with community involvement, with getting, you know, how can we strengthen our schools? How can we get that to work well with our community? So that's one of the reasons, you know, I wanted to come and help out and, you know, do my part as a in our community, you know, do my part as what I can do.
Sure, sure.
So yeah.
Any agenda or things that you know, think should change that, um, you know,
Many things I think, well, there's so there's a lot that a lot of people look at as far as change. I'm not coming in there to try to change up anything. I'm just going to come in, and my plan is just to oversight is what it is. You know, balance the budget. You know, see what we can do, what needs implemented, what's going to work well for our community with the school. So you know, essentially, we want our kids to be educated so they can come into our community and help our community and help our community grow and have our you know our kids and stuff stay here and everything and have the next generation grow up here. So just I'm not coming in to try to um, change anything big. Just work together and see what needs to be done and
okay.
make positive positive changes and
So
whatever we need to do for the community going forth.
work
So
with the continuing board that's there,
yes.
and then so really don't have anything that you feel that needs to be fixed or refashioned that the board is currently doing or the school system is currently
Well,
doing.
and it's still as a whole, you still have to have that communication and work together with the folks on doing that. So it's not like me coming in hard charging to try to take over and make personal changes. So I'll see what needs structured, what the community needs, and what everybody is working on that we feel as a community needs to be changed, you know, for the benefit of our community and for our kids, you know, getting education and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that I would you know, work on as coming in. So
So kind of just listen to the current school board and what they've been doing, and then also any what the public is saying at a meeting.
Yeah,
Then.
and any issues that come up that need addressed. So, we always get that, throughout the school year. There's always something. There's always some sort of change. There's always something that happens that affects us and comes out and affects our community and stuff like that. So you just kind of roll with the punches and just kind of go with it and see
Yeah.
what needs addressed for our community, what works best for us, and be open-minded and listen and go forth that way. So you can't come in with a closed mind, just wanting to do one thing and fix one thing. So it's a
Right.
community that needs, look at the community and see what's best for everybody
Yeah.
with that.
And then, so what role should parents play in their children's school, classroom education? How do you see parents?
Well, I think it's very important for the parents to be involved with the children and stuff because the parents have have a great understanding of their kids, or they should. So, and I know like a lot of people ask kids, well, hey, what do you want to do when you graduate? The kids don't know, most of the time. So that's where the parents need to kind of come in and be involved with the school. Can you come and talk to the counselors, help the kids pick out their classes, be involved, and say, the child wants to do science or something like that. And then we go out, sit down and see what science classes that, if they're going to go to a 4-year school, have the
Mhm.
parent be involved. I think that's very important to have that parents involved with the kids and help guide the kids because a student can go and talk to a counselor and then they may provide ideas and stuff like that and then the child may be, well, let's try that over there, but it might not be necessarily what they want to do. So we gotta, yeah, parents coming in there and helping is definitely um, help guide the kids a little bit. There is really what is very important to,
Be involved in your kid's life.
yes, and help them get to their point where they want to be at. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, can you share a time with us when you were working with a group in trying to solve a particular problem?
Oh, geez. Well, I was in the military, so we did a
Oh,
bunch of.
okay.
Oh my gosh, that's been my whole thing. Always working with a group on always getting things going. Like I was just taking a phone call this little bit ago, working with another person to try to get a deal to go through. So we're having some issues. So I work with people all the time, uh, trying to get deals put through, looking at issues, coming up with positive solutions, coming up to a resolution to an issue that's brought up. So
Uh-huh.
I work well with people doing that. So
So, as working with a team of, I assume, attorneys or
well,
the bank and your people that
yep,
you've
with real
tried to
estate we got,
sell or buy a.
yep, we got buyers, we got sellers, we got the other agents, we got the attorneys, we got um uh grants and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's just an inspector. So whatever just kind of happens, you just kind of work with them to do that. And then
So you feel like to achieve a goal for your clients or your right.
Oh yeah, yeah, because you have to it just depends on what it is. So it's just problem solving basically. So working together as a team to come up with, the objectives is to sell a property, for real estate. So, well, how are we going to get that done? So,
Hmm.
it's a team effort doing that. So, you got to do your part. I do my part. Do you need help with this? You're busy over here. Hey, I can step in. I can help out, do that. Not a problem. And then,
Hmm.
hey, I have a little bit of a skill over here that I could help with, where the other person over here may be a little bit stronger in a different skill that they can help out with and work out that way because we all have our own different skills, so it's very easy to work with others and figure out what people's skills are and strengths and weaknesses and what people bring to the table to get going with stuff.
Yeah, the
So
fun stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
So switch gears just a little bit. So, what impact do you feel like the school vouchers have had on the public school system in Iowa?
Oh, let's see here. So the school vouchers, I mean, I don't know necessarily say that's had like an impact per se. So because each you just can't say, um, are you just like talking about the public schools?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
how it's affected.
and then it's like with that, the each child is different. So, each child doesn't necessarily learn as well inside just a public school. So, if you have the ESA money that goes around with the student to a different facility, whether it's public or home or private schooling, if that child fits better in that if that in that area and that's where they can learn better in that environment,
Mhm.
because overall, like I said, we want to have a good education for our children, and so they can come and be in our community and be a great asset to our community and stuff. So the main thing is education. So where is a child going to get the best education at? That works for them to learn. So what area? So um, I'm not gonna really say that it's impacted or not impacted. So it's
Okay.
the fluidity
Mhm.
of what the child and the children need
Yeah.
to help them be um, to help them learn. So
So do you feel like the voucher system should then continue, be modified, or it doesn't sound like you want it to end? That's an option.
Mm. Well, we'll look and see what it does. We look at facts and numbers and the trends and see what needs to be done with it. So I mean, for me, it's hard to say because it just started 2 years ago. The voucher system did back in 2023. So I mean, it hasn't been out there long enough. Really, I don't feel that it's been out there long enough for to get real accurate data. And like I said, you have different students that come in with different needs, and so whatever works for them to get the kids the education. So,
Yeah.
and that's the important thing. And everybody pays taxes. Okay, so that's if you're paying taxes and the child needs uh, are better met at a public school, that's great. And if we want to have more kids come to the public school, well, what do we need to do to have all the kids come to the public school? So that's definitely something, to look at if we want all the vouchers and all the ESA money come to the public school. What do we need to do to have everybody come? So that's definitely something that, would need to be looked at if we want to keep all the kids coming to the public school. So yeah.
Very good. Very
Yeah.
good. So, in regards to public education, do you think it should be fully funded at 5%?
Well, that is another thing, and it depends on how many kids are coming, and again, what are the other students' needs being met? What's our budget looking like? So, I mean,
Mhm.
a lot of times you can always scrounge a penny somewhere, just by shifting a budget, where you don't buy something that week and then save your money and use it for something else. So I'm sure there's always adjustments. But if so, and people don't like their property taxes going up. You go to work all day and you come home and you're tired, then half of it goes to taxes. So I mean, so that's another thing we got to look at with the 5%. So I'm not going to be necessarily, oh, hey, that's definitely we should have that every year. It's something that we need to look at and address as situations,
Mhm.
come and go, and
Yeah.
what our community's needs are. So
Okay. Very
yeah.
good. So, very good. Is there something you would like to just say to the voters out there?
With my
Final word?
well, I'm bad at interviews.
No, you did great. Go ahead and just
But yeah, no, I think this position is totally in my alley. And I'm excited to get in there and help out and work with the fellow board members and everybody in the community, and just get out there and see what we can do and get done and make our schools great, and yeah, make everything work well and go forth that way. So, yep.
Very good. Well, thanks for your time. I appreciate you participating in this.
All right. Well, thank you
So,
very much.
yeah,
I appreciate it.
yeah.
This was nice meeting
So,
you
you
again.
too.
Yeah.
It's nice. I'm Steve Paulsrud. I'm with the League of Women Voters, and I have the privilege today to speak with candidates for the local city council. And with me today is Mayor Brad Burke. And yeah,
Thank
how
you.
you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me,
Good,
Steve.
good.
Appreciate it.
So, how long have you been mayor?
I've been mayor since January 1st of 2022, and yeah, so basically coming up to 4 years, and then as of right now, running uncontested. Well, running uncontested, it'll be another 2 years. So,
And tell us how the last 4 years have been.
you know, the last 4 years, I have to say it's the first term, which I'm every two years is a term. Everybody else is 4 years. But you know, it was a learning opportunity for me. Never was in elected office, and it's one of those items. I'm like, all right, we're in this. So you talk to past elected officials, you know, past staff, and just what do I need to learn? I'd say that last or this year's term, there's been so much momentum and a lot of things that were planted in 22, 23 that you can see the fruit from everybody working together.
Let's talk about those
Yeah.
things that you're proud of.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
guys have
Some
done.
things the things that I'm proud of just as a team is number one, the culture at the city hall. Working together, working as a team, there's no I, it's we. And I think that's very important. Some things that I think that we're proud of is number one, focusing on the infrastructure, focusing on basically the roads that we have, the businesses that we have right now. I think we need to really continue focusing on that. And then when the opportunity comes up, then we can bring in some bigger and better things as well. But I'd say the culture, infrastructure, economic development is at an all-time high right now, which is great. So we have a brand new city administrator, Matt Martison. We work very well together from a chamber side and city side with the elected officials. He's been great to work with.
Great. So, money and enough of it. I mean, how
Yeah.
do you prioritize?
So, yeah, I mean, our main goal at the city is we want to try to keep the taxes down as much as possible. Sometimes you have to spend money to make money. What I mean by that is you need to give some money to some projects, and eventually there's gonna be some taxes that are gonna be paid with that, right? So if we had unlimited money, I'd really be focusing on updating all the infrastructure, talking to current business owners, maybe new business people coming in town, talking to the residential owners as well. What are some things that we could do to basically help, fix some of the parts in your neighborhood, items like that. So if I had all the money in the world, there'd be a lot of things. We'd be updating the riverfront right now instead of waiting. We'd have a Dick Drake Way overpass going over top of that road, for CPKC right away if we had all the money in the world. Because again, safety is number one, which is why I bring up the overpass.
So, yeah, you talk about that. Did the city get money from the railroad?
Yes, the
Can
city.
you let us?
Yeah, the city did get money from the railroad. I believe it was it was in my first term, 22, 23. And we did receive money, and basically we've applied for a grant, and we're just kind of waiting to see where we're at. Things take time. Government, can be slow, but it can be fast sometimes. But we're just waiting to hear back where we're at with the application grant for the Dick Drake overpass.
And that would be a pedestrian overpass, I assume.
That'd be pedestrian, car, so transportation.
And where would that be located?
So if you're driving 61 south, instead of taking a right to continue on 61, just continue going straight. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a safety component there too. Yeah,
Yeah.
just with if all of a sudden the train stops, ambulance has to go all the way around, and that's not the best thing for emergency personnel, as you would know, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. So, any other things that you want to accomplish in their next term that you haven't already?
Absolutely. So there are things that have been, like I mentioned, items that have been planted in 22, 23, some in 24 that we're going to see come to fruition. This is going to be increased mid to high income apartments, so market rate apartments. We have the Carver Corner area that's going to have 56 units, potentially another building there also. We also have the 65 units on. It's basically the Hawkeye Lumberyard site. And so that's if you go there right now, you see a bunch of earth that's been moved, and they raised it already 6 to 7 feet. So I think that's exciting. There's plans for some more residential houses coming out as well, which we're really excited about, to the tune of 200 plus single family home houses. So I mean that's something that we'll wait to share hopefully later this year, beginning of next year. But there's so much momentum, and having city council on the same page, administration, staff on the same page to work together. This is what happens.
So you're talking single family homes and
Single family homes. We have single family homes, townhomes, condominiums, items like that. You'll be seeing some of these projects coming up soon, being shared with the public.
so in regards to housing,
Yeah.
is $200,000, $300,000 for a house? It just doesn't seem to be available anymore. What are your thoughts, or what have you?
Yeah, no,
Because
that's a good question. So, yeah, $200,000 to $300,000 houses would have probably been a great option 3, 4 years ago, but as we know, prices go up significantly. So, that mid to high end, that mid, income housing, you're looking at, probably mid 300s. So, but that's what the market is showing. We did a housing study, and that's what we go off of. We spent money with the county and some other municipalities too to figure out what do we need in our community in the county. And at that point, the information was shared that we have a deficit of mid to high income housing. We have a surplus of low income housing. But the important thing is that putting money aside and trying to help fix up some of those houses that we have a surplus of, that is very important to us as well.
it seems that that's expensive to do.
It's expensive to
but-
do, but I mean, you have groups like Habitat for Humanity, Rebuilding Together, that have been doing a fantastic job moving forward. Community Foundation has done a good job too. So at the end of the day, there's enough projects that you can have many different groups working on it at the same time. Our big thing is we're just trying to follow that housing report, that housing study,
Yeah.
because that's what we share with our developers, investors, to show like, hey, here's the proof. This is why we need to invest in Muscatine.
And I've seen the houses that have been rehabbed, and they're nice. Yeah.
Yes, they are.
They'll
Yeah,
get rid of the blight.
and it's just basically helping out as much as we can, but still not losing focus on why we're here and just the history of Muscatine. You have to always keep that in mind.
Yeah. So, can you share a time with us that you've worked on a committee or a group of people, and what your role was that you accomplished?
Yeah, I'm on a lot of committees,
I'm
Steve.
sure you are.
So I would say probably a couple of them that really stand out would be we have an economic development committee at the Chamber of Commerce, and that is basically where a lot of the big projects that we'll hear about and we'll talk about. And how am I involved? Well, I'm also involved being the president, CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, and the mayor. But we also have the city administrator. We have city folks there. We've got a couple elected officials there. The utility companies all are going to be there as well, are typically there. So just keeping them abreast of everything that's happening and maybe some input. So when people come in, they want to invest in our community, or we have an existing business that wants to expand or build new. You have everybody around the table giving input, so it's customer service. That's the whole point. Our Community Improvement Action Team, CIAT, is a committee at the City Hall. And that is an item that we have, that's an item that that is great for the community. We focus on events that are happening, in Muscatine. We added focusing on the riverfront. We added downtown streets, just little things like that. What are some things that we could work together as a team to make Muscatine more vibrant?
Yeah. I guess just a question I have not heard in regards to the riverfront and developing the riverfront.
You bet.
Is there something going to be happening in regards to not a band shell, but what Cedar Rapids has done,
Sure.
where they have a place where stage that is anything.
Yeah, I know Keep Muscatine Beautiful has been really pushing to have a brand new amphitheater.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure kind of where we're at right now. It's been a
Okay.
couple months, but at the end of the day, yes, there are talks, conversations of what can we do from the 2017 plan that was shared publicly.
Mm-hmm.
There's some gems on there that we definitely want to do, and maybe working with a public-private partnership regarding to accomplish that. But we're also working with some, I guess, groups behind the scenes that have different types of foundations
Mm-hmm.
to help with funding and grant opportunities as well.
Okay.
To maybe update our marina, our harbor area. How can we potentially get maybe a restaurant down there? You know, just to invite the boating, because we're here basically because of that Mississippi River. So what can we do to continue to add little gems on the riverfront to bring more people down there? That's what we want to focus
Will
on.
there be time for a public comment again, or is it kind of working behind the scenes with what's
Well,
already
basically,
been?
I would say kind of like what they did with the 2017 presentation is there's a lot of work behind the scenes, and then there'd be a point for public comment to start getting all that information in. And you know, we're working on things. Just it's basically conceptual right now, but we definitely want to see some more movement with the riverfront specifically.
And the particular agency that's working with that is called Beautify Muscatine.
Oh, Keep Muscatine Beautiful.
Keep Muscatine Beautiful.
Yep, Chris and Brenda. Yeah, they've done a lot of work regarding putting on a lot of events and things like that. But they're the ones strictly just working on the amphitheater.
Okay.
That's the only one. Yep.
Any final comments that you'd like to share with us?
Well, first of all, I appreciate you having me on
Glad
this.
you came in.
Yeah, thank you so much. And very, very thankful for everybody in Muscatine that gets out there and votes. As we continue to move forward, you're going to see a lot more momentum and a lot more things happening that have happened in Muscatine that started in 2022, 2023 with new administration, some council members. There's some, having the council members work together is always a key thing. So you're going to see a lot of economic development projects that are going to be happening, finishing, bringing in more tax dollars, which will then help more opportunities throughout Muscatine as well. But just want to say thank you so much for trusting me the past couple terms.
Thanks a lot, Brad, for being here.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Good to see
Thank
ya.
you.
Yep.
Good afternoon. I'm Mary Wildermuth, and I'm here with the League of Women Voters, and I have the pleasure this afternoon of interviewing Nadine Brockert, who's an incumbent for City Council. So Nadine, which ward do you represent?
I represent the 4th Ward, which is basically Lucas to Maine, to the river, to the airport, over to Fruitland.
Oh my gosh, that's a big territory. So this is not new news to you. How long have you been on the council?
Almost 8 years.
Well, that's a lot. So give us a little skinny here. Tell us a little bit about yourself as the incumbent and the candidate.
As the incumbent, I have been fortunate enough to see a lot of improvements going on in 4th Ward. Anything from lots being cleaned up, new businesses coming in, the completion of the Grandview Corridor highway or street rather.
Yeah, okay.
And adding sidewalks and making it a little more walkable for folks.
That's good.
And we do see more folks out on bicycles and using the trail system, which is, you know, also part of
Sure.
4th Ward.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the dome to open. I think that's going to be a
That's
tremendous
pretty soon,
asset.
isn't it? I just saw something about a big soccer thing. Is that what I saw?
Yes, hopefully by the end of this month, we'd like to have it open. We've got a lot of reservations already in for weekends for
That's
different
wonderful.
things going on. So yeah,
That'll be a real coup for Muscatine.
yes, it will.
So, since you've been on for 8 years, what are you the most proud of that's occurred in the city since you've been on the council? What's the aha thing?
The aha, I believe, is getting everyone to work together. We're all in the same boat. We need to all be paddling in the same direction. And there were times during my terms when that wasn't always happening, but I believe it is now. And we can only get stronger if we paddle together.
Well, it's very interesting that you answer that way, because I did talk to the school superintendent, and I said to him, you know, as we were going to interview the school board candidates, I said, what should we ask them? And his answer was pretty much that. So, you know, it's important on our community that we play together. And I think that that's resonating from the school board and from you, at least in the city council. It must be more than you, because you're saying it happens right now. So that's
Yes, it
great.
does.
So that's good. Maybe a little bit different than what's happening in our country at this time. Okay, so let's talk money. And you know, there's not always enough of it. And so how do you prioritize what gets spent in the city, like for services or street repair? Or what are some of the things that are coming up? Like, I know that there's going to be some shortfalls here in the future. So kind of paint that picture for us.
Well, the state legislature is not always our friend, let's put it that way. Talk is that there's going to be more work around property tax reform this coming legislative session, and we're not sure what in the world's going to happen.
Yeah.
They have some laws in place now that penalize you, and Muscatine suffered part of that penalty because last year our rate of growth was over 3%, just by 2 percentage points. That knocked us back down to 2%.
So we shouldn't have grown? Is that kind of what you
Well,
were hindered for that?
it's a disincentive for folks to grow.
I see.
Let's put it that way. And that's frustrating because everyone wants to grow.
Well, of course.
But I think the legislature maybe didn't intend for it to look that way or be that way, but they didn't want cities to be able to raise property taxes higher than maybe what was comfortable.
So that was kind of their answer.
So
Yeah.
in the meantime, what they've done is kind of strangle the cities as far as what we can collect in taxes, which also reflects on how much we can spend on our general funds, which is police, fire, salaries,
So
things like
pretty
that.
much central services.
Central services.
I don't know if
yes.
the library and the art center are kind of in that pot
They-
as well.
they are. Yes,
and
they
I know
are.
people feel like those are the things that don't get funded as maybe they should, or we would like them to. But obviously, fire and police are safety are very, very important.
Yes.
So when the pot's thin, you kind of have to shift the dollars.
Yes, you do.
So, what do you want to accomplish this term within the city? We have a brand new city administrator, and you know, I don't know, I haven't met him. He's been here a while, but where are we headed?
I think we're headed to a really good spot. Matt Martison brings with him a world of experience as far as being a city administrator of different size cities. He was selected as City Administrator of the Year, I believe, in 2020 by
That's not
the
too
Iowa
long
League
ago.
of Cities,
Yeah.
yes. He's had private sector experience. He's also had experience as a police officer.
Oh.
So he has a wide range of folks he can draw on, contacts that he's made, a network, if you will, over the years that he can draw on to help
So he knows
us
people
in
in
Muscatine.
Iowa and maybe in other places
Yes,
as well.
yes.
Well, I know when Brad Bark was here interviewing, one of his coups was that the whole aspect of economic development. He was really pleased that
Yes.
Matt had done a lot of that.
Yes,
so
he has.
felt like he had a comrade there. Mm-hmm. So what do you want to accomplish?
What do I want to accomplish?
Well, I know this teamwork thing's important. Play
Yes.
together. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see more going on in South End as far as improving the looks of neighborhoods, getting people to work together, to trust those of us who work out of City Hall, you know, and believe that we're not the enemy. We want to help them.
So I know for a long time there was a whole Safe Streets initiative and the neighborhoods met and so on. Does that still continue, like block parties, that kind of thing?
Not so much anymore. I
Excuse
did
me.
a meeting once a month with folks in my ward up until COVID.
Oh,
And then
I suppose.
COVID kind of took care of all of
Yeah.
that, and I just never really got back to it.
Well, it's great to hear you say that you're wanting people to work together and spruce up their yards. And across Muscatine, that would be great. Our community doesn't look shabby, but it always
No.
can look better. So I know that you talked about being a team and playing together, but can you share an accomplishment or a goal or a project that you're proud of that you worked on with the team?
We had something we called Heart to Heart or something like that. It was a program that originated out of Dubuque that we worked on 2 or 3 years ago with our community development director to survey people, see what they liked, see what we could do better, what they liked best about Muscatine, what they didn't really care for
So
in
get
Muscatine.
input from your customers, so to
Getting
speak.
input from the customer and then acting on it if we could. Vitality in the Mulberry neighborhood seems to be going very well,
Yeah.
and that hopefully will come to fruition, and perhaps we will have other areas in the city where
Well,
we
there's a
can
couple
do
of new
that.
housing projects.
Yes.
I don't know if it's all in Mulberry, but they're around Hy-Vee and the little park there.
Yes.
There's the new concrete housing. I don't know what we call it, made out of concrete, the MCSA project, and then on over is the Jefferson one. So yeah, that's 2 housing projects
is,
right there.
yes.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So appreciate very much that you've come here today. And is there something you'd like to tell the public or just closing comments about you as the incumbent?
Well, I'm kind of a boring old lady. I've been married 57 years to the same guy. We have 2 kids, 4 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren. We obviously we're not leaving. We're here
Gonna
for
stay,
the however long it lasts.
Cool. Well, I think your calm demeanor probably is a real attribute to the city council, and I think we're appreciative of the fact that you've decided to run again. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.